Hello everybody, this is Jasmina, and in this video I am going to be talking about the National Seal Nobleman. It's a pretty powerful and important one of the noblemen that you can have in your chart. It is a very good formation provided there are no clashes within your BaZi, and that is you want to have the formation in your four pillars and no clashes with that particular branch that creates the nobleman in your four pillars. A clashing luck pillar can temporarily, of course, reduce the quality, but unless the clash occurs at a very young age, that is the clash luck pillar, the reduction is usually quite minor, because if it occurs when you're older, your whole system is a little bit more fixed and it's harder for you to be corrupted. But if it does occur at a young age, as soon as you're out of the luck pillar, it quickly ebbs, and then you go back to being a true nobleman. This isn't, the luck pillar is not totally a disaster, but it does make it easier for you to, let's say, go off the path of being honest and upright. So when the current year's branch is your Daymaster's National Seal branch, that is when you have the right one, that is the current year you're living in is the right one, then it is usually what happens is, if you don't already have it in your chart, and even if you do, an honest and helpful noble person will come your way. They show up and try to help you. Now, they may not be the nicest of noblemen, because noblemen are not necessarily nice. But sometimes we need somebody to basically kick our butt and show us that we are the problem. And there's something we need to change. And if we do change it, things will improve. This isn't unusual in this particular case. But it doesn't have to be that way. Sometimes it's other outside things. Sometimes they just help you with the right information. Sometimes it's with more than that. It could be they could pay for your schooling. Something like this, if that's what you really needed. They will help somehow. They will help you understand where the problem lies. If nothing else, they will do this. Oftentimes, they will also help you overcome that problem. So everybody can benefit from this, but it would only be once every 12 years. So don't miss it when it happens, and don't reject it just because perhaps this nobleman might not be the nicest person on the planet. It's still okay. And like I say, sometimes you need to be woken up to the fact that you are part of the problem, and then you can fix it. So that's totally fine. And this is basically what this formation does. It makes a person very honest and upright, and that is quite hard to corrupt. So this makes them ideal for being positions of power, especially the government, because the government controls the whole country. At least when they're a good government and they don't have civil war. And they also can be this way in a company, but they know they only control that company. So many times they have loftier desires and want to actually help the entire country instead of a single company. Now, this formation, everybody agrees the Daymaster is the focus, at least the first focus to look at. But quite a few also say you can use the year stem if the Daymaster doesn't have the right branch that it needs to complete it. So I'm okay with it. I think enough people say that it's okay to be the year that I'm not hesitant to say it's okay. Now, the completion branch will be, of course, an animal that along with either your daymaster or your year stem has a certain relationship. And it can be located in any one of your 4 pillars. But where it's located, if it's in the year, the month, the day, or the hour, that changes the interpretation of it. It doesn't make a person less honest. It just changes kind of how they approach life. Now, if the luck pillar is the location where you have the right branch, it indicates a temporary condition. And sometimes that's good, sometimes it is good for only a short time, and then you can get into trouble. So here is the table you need to look at. So this is the stem in your BaZi, the upper character, and it's in this normal order, yang first, yin for each one of these. So we have wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And the branch has a kind of a strange pattern, so I'll go through them one by one. A yang wood needs to see a dog. The yin wood needs to see a pig. The yang fire needs to see the ox, and the yin fire needs to see the tiger. The same pattern for the earth. The yang earth needs to see the ox. The yin earth needs to see the tiger. When it comes to the metal, the yang metal needs to see the dragon. The yin metal wants to see the snake. And for yang water, it needs the goat, and yin water needs the monkey. So that's the rules. And what you do is you look for your daymaster and see if you have the listed branch anywhere in your natal chart in those 4 pillars. If you don't, then look at your year stem and repeat. See if you have that available in your chart. Now, for this particular formation, if it's not in your natal chart, it's actually not terribly powerful in the long run. You may be able to obtain a high position when the right branch is in your luck pillar, but once you pass through that luck pillar, you go to the next one, you will very likely be tempted to do something dishonest. And then you often have a downfall and you can lose everything. So if you do get to a high position with your luck pillar, you have to be very, very careful and really consider any kind of offer to see whether or not there's any dishonesty involved, because you will be tempted, and that almost always leads to a problem in the long run. So remember, I said it depends on where the completion branch is. It changes the interpretation a bit. Well, if your completion branch is in your year stem, so let's say you have a yang wood daymaster and you have a dog in your year, that's what we're talking about. These individuals tend to have generally good fortune and are ideal for having official positions. Now, that is the literal translation from the Chinese. This means that you're good to have an official position in the government. That is, you are suited to this because you're honest and you don't make any corruption worse in your country. They tend to be quite strict to abide by the rules, mostly, I guess we should really say laws. They handle conflict pretty well. That is, if they have 2 subordinates who are having a conflict, some kind of argument or something, they'll listen to both sides and they will come up with as fair a possible recommendation or solution to remove the conflict. And if one side is more right than the other, they will say it. I mean, they're not going to take sides just because they might like somebody. So that can be sometimes a little bit problematic with friends, because you are going to do what is right rather than you're going to do what is right because this, or you're going to side with somebody because they're your friend. So that can sometimes be a little bit of a problem, but they act according to the laws. They almost never break the law. They may recognize the law is unjust, but they're not going to break the law. Instead, they try to change it and make it more fair. Now, if they have other auspicious stars, they can obtain a very high level position. They could be like the equivalent of the president in the United States. That is, they're the ruler of the whole country, the top guy. And usually this is in government because these people want to change their country, not just a single company. They also make excellent judges. And even if they don't have auspicious stars, other auspicious stars, they still make very good judges because they interpret the law as justly as they can. Now, if the completion branch is instead in your month stem, these people are still, of course, very honest and upright, but they tend to be good students from the very beginning, but they also have good people skills, which somebody that has it in their year stem, they may not have the best people skills. They often do, but that's not a guarantee. But here, you're pretty much guaranteed to have good people skills. They typically show leadership skills at a very young age. The teachers will know that these kids are going to be leaders. The elementary school teachers can pick out those kids. They tend to do very well after they graduate, which means they have to get a decent amount of education because that helps shape them, and also to know what is right and wrong. And we're just really talking about a high level of education compared to, let's say, the average person in the country. So in a very poor country, this could be a high school diploma. In a more developed country, it's probably only has to be a bachelor's degree. Master's degree might be a little better. PhD, definitely don't need that. You can have it, but you don't need it. That's really being a little bit higher than is needed. Now, they can enter the government and do well, but they are also quite suited to business, and they may not have the same drive to change the whole country. They may be more interested in something a little smaller scale, because maybe they just don't have as lofty of goals, I guess. They have and this is in their month, so it's more focused on career and not so much on changing the world. If it's in your day branch, this is actually considered to be the best location for it. They're law-abiding, they value fairness, but the key is they will not abuse their power, whatever power they have, for personal gain. So people recognize them as being very honest. And it's really easy to see that these are honest people. Uh, Depending on the local conditions, they can be fantastic politicians. However, if the whole system is highly corrupt, unfortunately, they're not very effective because they don't really want to do deals unless the deal is not doesn't hurt people. I mean, they might do some deals, but it's very hard for them to do deals because most of the time those deals involve something that also has to do with corruption if you're in a very corrupt political system. So sometimes they're not able to take advantage depending on where they're living. Now, the one nice thing is they also tend to have very good marriages because they actually, their spouses will trust them to tell them uh, the truth and not to take advantage of them. So they tend to have very, very good marriages and very happy family relationships. Like the kids trust them and the kids look up to them, and just really, really good in the family. Now, the weirdest one, at least as far as I can look at it, is if it's in the hour stem. What this means is that change is how this individual will make gains in their position or in their income, all this. They have to make changes in their life. They can't stay in their childhood home. And in fact, it's probably good if they leave their childhood city and they get out in the real world, out someplace else, even a different country. It doesn't have to be a different country, but definitely not in the same home. So if you have a kid who has this, don't give them your house. Don't put them as the one who gets the house when you move on, because they need to be someplace else. These people often do very well in jobs where travel is part of their job. Now, even scientists travel quite a bit because they go to conferences on regular basis. And so but there are a lot of jobs where you don't travel at all. So, I mean, and we're not talking about traveling from your house to work. We're talking about traveling from your place of work someplace else. So if you're in the government, you could do quite well in the diplomatic service. You could often do well in the military, because there's often moves with the military. This can also be in international business, where you have headquarters or semi-headquarters in various countries. You can do very well as a manager in that kind of situation. So there are various things, but you need to change things. And when you change things, your life improves. Then that can include just changing where you live. Now, they're still honest and upright people, but they need to have changes in their life to have advancements in their life. So, and this isn't, these people tend not to want to be politicians either, because they can, but they won't stick in one position in politics. They will be moving around, which is fine. But they're not the ones who are really, really focused on changing the world. They're more like improving their lives, which is totally fine. Now, most of the time, I don't have anything to say about this as a person, because neither I or my husband has this. Now, my husband doesn't, but I do. My daymaster is Yinwood, and I have the pig in my year branch. So I qualify. I have this. Now, that doesn't mean, of course, that I follow everything. I have never had any interest in being in politics. Now, I have zero DW, the direct wealth, in my chart. My profile is IW. So I much prefer working for myself than working for others. And of course, if you're in the government, I mean, unless you're the president, you're working for somebody else and following their rules. Even if those rules aren't written into law, you're following their rules. So I'm not really suited to be in politics. And I think it's largely because I don't have any DW, although I have quite a bit of IW. Now, I basically have too many issues with dishonest politicians. Not ones who just are spinning, but once once they know that spin is wrong, they keep saying the same thing. And because it works for them, basically. And I don't have the people skills to deal with these kind of people. So it's very good I'm not in politics. I don't think I would last very long. But I do believe that most people who know me personally do consider me to be honest. And to be completely honest, sometimes I think I am too honest. I don't like to hurt people's feelings, so lots of times I won't say anything, which is still a lie, but it's only a lie of omission. I don't even like telling white lies. Like, oh, that looks nice on you when it doesn't. I won't do that. Um, I will pretend not to hear you. Or I will just say, oh, I don't know anything about fashion, which is actually true. I am a t-shirt and sweatpants kind of person rather than I don't dress up. I, I don't feel comfortable in those type of clothes. So um, so it's easy for me to get out of that one. But there will be times when I don't know what to say because I don't want to hurt them, yet I don't want to be dishonest either. So, and everybody who knows me knows if I'm not saying anything, in my opinion, is not good. I mean, that is, I, if you ask me, do I look good in this, and I don't say anything, that means no, I don't think you do, uh, but I don't want to say anything. And so being too honest can be a problem too. Now, when it comes to obeying rules, I would say I obey most laws if you ignore driving, because everybody breaks the law when they drive. And but if we talk about rules, well, it depends on the type of rule. There's a lot of rules that I have broken in my life. Many of them are societal rules or societal norms. I'm not really into most of them because I think they're unfair, basically. So if the rule or the law is unfair, I do my best to fight against it. I have written my congressmen and my senators so many times. I'm quite sure they don't read my letters anymore. I'm sure that the actual politician doesn't read them, but somebody files it. Oh, this is the opinion is this or the opinion is that. Uh, but uh, but I feel the need to keep writing them, even though I don't think it's doing any good. But I don't think it can hurt. So I just keep at it. Uh, and uh, and I've been writing a lot more in the recent times. Now, there is some indication that the set of the focus stem and the completion branch, because there's 10 different ones, they have slightly different interpretations in how this may come out in a person's life. Unfortunately, I have not found a complete set of these interpretations, and it seems to have to do something with Chinese numerology, which I don't know enough about yet. I'm trying to learn what I can for free, but it's pretty hard to find this, and it's actually kind of hard to find a Chinese numerology class that is even remotely affordable. So, but I'm hoping to find enough information if I can get some uh, key phrases. That's often where I can really get going on discovering things. And of course, it's all on the Chinese language web pages. There's almost nothing in English. Now, in generally being, this is what I get from the ones that I could find something on. If you're being upright and honest in difficult times, it will lead to great rewards when the times get better. And the times never stay completely bad or completely good forever. So, but this seems to be the key. If you can be honest and upright when it's bad, you get rewarded when it's good, and usually quite strongly rewarded. So let's talk just a little bit about clashes. And we're talking about the clash between your completion branch, whatever that one is, within your BaZi, within the 4 pillars. It basically nullifies the formation, and maybe not completely, but it really greatly weakens it at best. And this is a permanent thing because it's in your 4 pillars. Now, I don't care if you have a clash between other pillars or other branches in your chart, as long as it doesn't involve the completion branch, it doesn't necessarily nullify this thing. It might make it trickier and harder to use, but it doesn't nullify it. Now, this doesn't mean you're dishonest. It simply means you're more like a normal, honest person, and you can be tempted if the reward is large enough. So you probably are a little bit closer on the more honest side. So the temptation has to be larger than average, but maybe not a whole lot larger than average for you to succumb to the temptation. Now, if you had a parent who had this formation, that's usually quite good, because when you're young, those teaching moments, they will allow you to see things in a certain way, and they tend to make you more honest than the average person. And it does depend a little bit on the personality of the child. Sometimes people are just really stubborn and aren't able to be convinced. And I think those tend to be kind of difficult children, but most of the time, especially if it's the mother, this will make a real effect. Now, you have to remember that BaZi is only 1/3 the influence on your life. So this isn't something that's going to guarantee anything. If you're in a highly corrupt society, this nobleman is actually probably more painful than good. And it's because you have a very hard time putting this to good use. Your intimate group of friends will know how honest you are and everything, but you can't really get into politics when everybody else is so corrupt, because they will set you up, and you will be falsely accused, but in the end you will be out. So this can actually be a difficult good property to have, or a good star to have, if you're in a very highly corrupt society, a highly dishonest government, which there are quite a few here on Earth, even at the present time. So that's it. I hope this was helpful. I hope some of you guys have this and you're making the best use of it. It would be nice to see people, good people, get into power. That tends to make the world a better place. So I hope somebody out there, young enough and with enough energy, can go for it. But thanks again for watching.